So it is the very next day, and that duck has the audacity to come back up and waddling up to that lemonade stand. The man behind the stand is fuming. He thinks that he knows what this duck is about to do, and he's just ready. He's so mad. And the duck looks at the man behind the stand and says, "Hey, got any glue?" Welcome to Virtual English 2, Day 21, Winner Chicken Dinner, if you get that reference. My name is Paul Davidson, your English teacher. Today we're going to continue to express and reflect for our personal narratives. At the end of all this, you'll pick one of these things that you've been writing and flush it into a 500-word essay in which you will express and reflect. And I will give you a grade it holistically and give you a 100-point assessment based on how you did on it. But this week, we're just planting seeds, seeing what grows, buying lottery tickets, see if we hit jackpot with any of these particular prompts that we are writing. Of course, you have to tell the story before you can reflect on what happened. In fact, a lot of people so far have been saying, hey, I really don't think that there's a bigger thing at the end of this. And I say, hey, you just need to write it out. And while you write it, while you express, maybe the bigger thing, the bigger reflection will come to fruition. So sometimes you have to reflect all the way, or you have to express all the way before that reflection will go ding and go poof and all that fun stuff. Yesterday we did the sentence starters. You were supposed to write me 10 sentences using the sentence starters. Select one of those and flush it out into a little bit just to see where it goes. You didn't have to finish it by no means. Virtual students, you need to do 200 words. Today you're going to be doing the same thing, except you're going to be reflecting on childhood memories. So here we go, reflecting on childhood. I want you to choose one of the following two prompts. So you can do what my childhood tasted like or childhood games. For both of these, I want you to come up with, I don't have it listed here, but I want you to come up with 5 examples. 5 examples you could choose from. That way you have some choices. So make a list of 5 foods that you have ate as a kid. And you could still eat these foods today. Like one of the foods I would choose is pumpkin pie. And I still eat pumpkin pie to this day because pumpkin pie is flippin' delicious. All right. So you want to select one of those childhood foods and then begin to write about it. Your first inclination will be to pick one that you find the most delicious, but I would encourage you to consider one that has a good story attached to it. So if I was to do the pumpkin pie one, I would thoroughly talk about the first time I ever ate pumpkin pie. I was like a 7 or 8-year-old. I was young. I was a child, and we went down to Alabama to visit my great-grandmother at the time for Thanksgiving. And I remember my family was all doing yard work for her, like they were raking her leaves because she lived on a nice, decent, chunkable size of land that had a stream at the back of the house. These are sensory details that you could possibly include. But I remember tasting pumpkin pie for the first time, loving the taste of it. And while everybody was out like raking leaves and whatnot, I remember sneaking in and eating an entire pumpkin pie. And then my family, but this is my father's side of my family, made fun of me for being the fat little kid that ate an entire pie. It was kind of joking, like they were like perturbed, but not like super mad. But yeah, that's a memory that I have of eating pumpkin pie. It taught me not to be selfish and all that fun stuff. So I would, of course, while writing it, it would sound a lot better and I could go back and change stuff around. So that's one of your options. What my childhood tasted like, list 5 foods, select one and tell me the story behind it. Your first inclination is to pick the most delicious, but I would consider one that has a good story attached to it. You also have childhood games, your other prompts. So you could pick one of these two. The other one is childhood games. Make a list of games you played as a kid. It could be a sport. You could still play the game too. It could be a sport, or it could be just a video game, or just like a general childhood game. Like I give the example, like I still play Pokemon to this day. Pokemon Blue. I love Pokemon Blue. Yeah, I'm a millennial. Yeah, don't at me. Yeah, make a list of the games you played as a kid. And then you're going to select one of these games you played as a kid and begin to write about it. Make sure it's a game that taught you something beyond the game itself. And so I've been giving the example of when I was in Catholic school here in town at St. Eustatius, I played a game called kickball. But it wasn't like the kickball with the bases that you think. We did play that kickball, but we played this game of kickball where the current parish center is sitting at. That was just an empty field whenever I was in Catholic school. It was just a big empty field. And what we would do is we found this a tether ball, which is on the tether, and you hit it around the pole, and whoever gets the wrap the most wins, whatnot. We got a tether ball that had been detetherized. We didn't detetherize it. We found it detetherized. And so out in that empty lot behind the church there, we would just run around and kick the ball for hours on end. Or not hours on end, for 15 minutes, because that's how long recess was. So we just kick the ball, kick the ball, kick the ball. We weren't trying to get it into any goal or anything. We would just run around and kicking the ball for that entire recess period. Like whoever was winning was whoever had the ball. And of course, when the recess ended, the game was over. And so that was something that kind of taught me that, like the game, like you don't have to have a competitive game to enjoy the game. You don't have to win the game to enjoy the game. You don't have to have like a very avert, like score this many points type of game to enjoy the game. Sometimes just playing the game, just running after the ball for minutes on end can be the fun part of the game. So that's what you need to do. You need to tell me what your childhood tasted like, make a list of 5 foods and pick one that has a good story and tell me the story in 200 words, or a childhood game, make a list of 5 games you played as a child, select one that you played as a child and tell me the story behind that. At least 200 words. If you don't finish the story, it's fine. I just need you to get at least 200 words, at least started, because these are seeds. They might turn into your actual essay if you decide to go with that. I actually wrote along the 5th hour kids. This is word battle. Never mind. Ignore the word battle. But I actually wrote alongside the 5th hour kids, and here's actually what I wrote. And this is not perfect by no means, but is me getting my ideas out in the universe, spilling my thoughts on the page, sharing my thoughts. And that's one of the beautiful things about writing, is that you can go back and try to make it your most perfect self later on. And so I will eventually go back and I could fix this. This is actually the second time I wrote these 200 something words. The first time I wrote it, I was like, I really don't like how I started it, and I rearranged it, because that's the beautiful thing about writing, is that you can try to make it look as best as you possibly can. And this is just me like brainstorming, get my thoughts out there in the universe. I will go back and polish it up nicer if I was to turn this into an essay. So here's what I wrote in my 237 words. When I was growing up, it's very difficult to play quote unquote online with your friends. You couldn't just simply roll over to the other side of the bed, boot up your system and start gaming. Oh no, you had to be in the physical vicinity of them. You didn't have to be on the same system as them. All you needed was to be on the same local area network, LAN. Luckily for me, I'd probably remove that second. Luckily, or I'd remove that first. Luckily for the second, because I didn't like how that goes. But this is just me getting my ideas out there. Luckily for me, I knew someone who had access to the Delta Center after hours. So on the weekends, we would break into the Delta Center's classrooms and hook up our Xboxes and have epic 16-person battles in Halo. On one fateful Saturday, we would embark on the longest Halo game I ever participated in. 17 hours, since kids always ask me that, and I'm going to show this to the last 2 hours too. What started a simple flag sidewinder, Halo 1's largest map, quickly got out of hand. Tiny, a rather rotund individual, snagged the first points in the opening minutes of the match by using a nifty passing the flag technique one could use underneath the bases through a set of bars. That lead was short-lived because just seconds afterwards, Jeremy scored the tying capture our end, thanks to a brute force of bullet spray and speed. After that, both teams began to turtle, fearing that they would surrender the go-ahead capture in this 1-3 affair. As the minutes melted hours, and that's about as far as I went. And this is just me getting my ideas out there, and you saw that I had errors that I was going in and fixing as I was establishing it, because the first thing that you write is never necessarily the great. Always make it better. But like all good writing starts with a poor first effort. And so don't worry if it's good or not. Just get the ideas out in the universe. Don't worry about have this academic wall between you and writing. Knock it down and just get your ideas out there in the universe, and then you can always make them look more professional later. So do not have that nagging school thing in the back of your head when you come to writing. Just write. Get your ideas out there in the universe. And part of the reason why I was able to do that is also because I've worked out my writing muscle. The more you write, the better you get at it. The more you read, the better you get at it. The more you read, the better you get at writing, believe it or not. The better you get at reading. All raise at these boats. So just get out there and practice, especially if you're a virtual kid. Just read as much as you can, write as much as you can. So pick one of the 2 prompts, list 5 examples, pick one of them, and tell me a story over it, at least 200 words. That way you have at least something down, and that could be your 500-word essay that you choose to write for Monday. That's all I have for you today. I will see y'all on the flip side. Later, Reno.